Hey guys, my name's Nina, and today we're doing this. So it's the month of October, and you know what that means. Halloween. One of my favorite times of year, even though I don't really celebrate it anymore. I really should. On Halloween, the 99 crew traditionally does a Halloween heist. And those are one of the better episodes of all the seasons. And so I'm going to rank those episodes for you today. Let's get started with number 6.
Here we go.
1 second.
Very well. Captain Raymond Holt, you are an amazing police captain / genius.
But be warned, I started planning next year's heist just this minute.
Good. Then you're only 3 months behind.
You sick son of a bitch.
So this episode is round 2 of the Halloween bet, where Jake has to steal Holt's watch right from off his wrist. This episode has a side story in which Amy, Rosa, and Gina have to give out safety Halloween buckets for the kids, and Gina continuously avoids her duties because she's working on her dance crew, and at one point in the episode, her dance crew comes along and dances her out of the group because she's too busy with school and work, and, well, actually, she doesn't really have time for work either. You know Gina. So Jake decides to bring in Fingers, the pickpocket, to help him steal the watch off of Holt's wrist. But of course, you can never trust a pickpocket. Turns out that Holt hired Fingers a year in advance so that he could dupe Jake into thinking he had won. This episode decides to show Jake's entire plan at the beginning of the episode, so you know exactly how Jake plans to steal the watch, which is different from the first Halloween heist, where you only know what happened at the end. One of the silly parts of this episode is that Jake and Charles decide to chase a truck with a grocery cart. I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, you can only go as fast as Charles can push the cart. This is my least favorite heist, I think, because not the whole crew is in on it. There's a side story in the episode that I don't really care about. And of course, since Jake's plan seemed to work perfectly at the beginning of the episode, you knew that shenanigans were going to ensue, and so you could sort of tell what was going to happen in the end. Moving on to number 5.
You could have at least created a diversion to distract me from your terrible costume.
I'm not a dumb butt. I had a diversion planned. There was just a slight timing issue. Oh my God! Get down, everyone! There's a big fire! Captain, you better head over there for like 15 minutes and see what's going on with that. Beware the backdraft. I'll be in your office. You have beautiful eyes.
So this is the first ever Halloween heist where Jake makes a bet with Holt that he can steal the Medal of Valor that's in his office. Once again, not everybody is participating in this heist, so that's why it's pretty low on my list. This episode also has a side story, which I don't really like in terms of the Halloween heists. There are actually 2 side stories in this one. Terry wants to find out why Rosa was kicked out of her Catholic school, and then Charles and Amy are sent on a drug bust at a Halloween party. In this episode, Jake appears to be failing in all aspects of his heist until the end when you find out the whole team was actually helping him out. I don't know if I count that as winning the bet because he said he could steal it, but then he had his whole team help him out. Also, how did he choreograph a whole baby routine? Anyway, moving on to number 4.
Commence operation. Oh crap, wrong vent.
Oh crap! Wrong vent. This was a mistake.
My fault. I thought it was the right vent.
Unbelievable, mister.
You are, mister.
I'm having trouble even believing you at all right now. That is the last time I let Charles mark a vent.
Normally great at marking vents.
Lock picked.
In this episode, they call it the heistening, and they have to steal a crown. And the 2 previous winners get to hold a draft for who they want on their team, which brings more of the cast into the heist. Holt picks Terry and Gina, and Jake picks Charles and Rosa. Amy's actually out of this heist. Holt's team uses the twin twist, which is where they take Terry's kids and try to distract Jake. So this episode has a tiny side story in which Charles tries to set up Gina with his girlfriend's brother. In the end, you find out that Amy's the one who actually has the crown, and she duped all of them because they wouldn't let her join the team. Everything unfolds as you watch it, whereas in the previous 2 episodes, either everything happened at the beginning or everything was told at the end. This one, everything unfolds as you watch it, which is why I like it a little better. All right, number 3, here we come.
The caboodle! The caboodle!
The couple Dale!
I know one of you took the plaque, and I swear on my living mother's future grave, I'm not gonna let you get away with it.
Or it was you, Jake. You love pizza.
It's true. You had it for breakfast this morning.
When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime.
Look who I found hiding in the interrogation room. This guilty son of a bitch.
Still your sergeant. Like, I wasn't hiding. I was doing my work. Hitchcock and Scully were with me.
Were they? Or perhaps were they distracted by your brilliant pizza ruse?
In this one, they're heisting for the ultimate detective / genius plaque that they made, and the previous 3 winners of the heist, which were Amy, Jake, and Holt, get to pick a partner to join them. Terry decides that he doesn't want to be part of the heist, but they are very suspicious of him because Amy wasn't part of the heist last year and she won. Rosa is with Amy. Holt chooses Boyle so that Jake cannot choose Boyle, and then he dismisses him because he says he doesn't need him. And then obviously Jake is with Gina. This is the first episode where they introduce Boyle's body double Dave? Doug? Bill. Also, this is the first heist where Cheddar is included, and all the heists after this have Cheddar in them. This heist has the plaque keep moving around between the teams, which makes it more fun and dynamic. The previous heists, either someone had it at the beginning and then it switched over at the end, or you didn't know where it was at all. And in a cruel twist of fate, there were actually 3 plaques the whole time, and Gina planned it for a very long time, because Gina wanted to win, because it was offensive for them to have detective on the plaque. It should have been ultimate human / genius. And from then on, that's what it said. This episode made me realize that there are no rules, don't trust anyone, and I love it. But this next one is a little better.
Don't you mean win us this heist?
Oh, Terrence, unfortunately, I do not.
What the hell?
Sorry, Sarge. It had to be this way.
Why?
But I promise that I will mention both you and Earl Scully in my victory speech.
Wait, Earl's here? I told that son of a bitch never to show his face in New York again!
Oh, why are you running towards the glass?
Ugh! You're a dead man, Earl!
That's not great.
You're a dead man, Jake!
That's much worse.
So even though this didn't take place on Halloween, it was still one of the better heists. To distract Terry from his lieutenant's exam, they decided to hold a heist because apparently they didn't get to back on Halloween. There was an emergency gas line explosion that canceled the heist, which you find out at the end of the episode was actually faked by Terry so that he could win the heist. This year, for whatever reason, they don't use the belt or the plaque, they use Scully's medical bracelet, which Jake calls the very upsetting bracelet. In this episode, Scully's twin is actually brought in, and they have a feud, which is really funny. We're told in this episode that Bill actually died in an accident, but we find out later that he is not dead.
You really thought I'd miss this year's heist? No way. I'm part of the squad.
No.
Okay.
In this episode, for whatever reason, they go back to teams, whereas in season 5, it was every man for themselves, which was much better. Jake teams up with Terry, but then he proceeds to betray him twice. Amy's supposed to be teamed up with Holt, but psych, it's actually Rosa. Rosa and Boyle are not playing. And then when Kevin comes over to bring Cheddar, turns out that Kevin actually wants to win the heist because he does not like having the belt hanging on his wall. He then gives the bracelet to Amy. Jake's winning banner hits Terry in the head, and they think that he has a concussion. They try so hard to get him to his lieutenant's exam, but it turns out that he was faking the whole thing because he wanted to win the heist. You also find out that in that year, all of Jake and Amy's gifts to each other were actually tasers. This next one is number 1.
Thought you could get a head start on heist prep? Good luck. I'm already dressed.
Well, I'm also dressed. And I made breakfast. Wait, where are my eggs?
In my belly. Now get a move on. It's heist time.
I love Halloween!
This one is my favorite one because it's every man for himself, and it ends with Jake asking Amy to marry him. They're heisting for this championship belt, which Holt calls a cummerbund, that says ultimate human / genius, because last year Gina complained about it saying detective. Apparently Terry is once again not playing this year. At one point you think that Gina stole the cummerbund right at the beginning, but psych, it's actually Bill that stole it. Jake, Bill, and Boyle actually team up to work together. Boyle comes in with the betrayal and actually teams up with Terry and Rosa, and they call themselves the Tramps because they were not part of the original 3, which were Amy, Jake, and Holt, that used to do the heists and that used to pick the teams. He handcuffs Jake to a cabinet and leaves Bill in the room to keep an eye on him, and Bill proceeds to try to sell him a pyramid scheme, which actually works because he buys more than Charles bought from him. So Bill decides to unhandcuff him. Holt once again tries to use Cheddar to get the belt from under the big heavy cabinet. Turns out Cheddar's been switched with a different doll. There's also a part with a bunch of handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale that come and try to distract everyone, just like the pizza guys in one of the other heists. This episode also has no side stories, which I'm happy about because we can focus on the heist and be really into it. Of course, this heist apparently doesn't have a winner because Jake altered the belt to ask Amy to marry him, but I think that they're both the winners. Come on, they're getting married. They're in love. It's great. One thing I did notice about the progression of the Halloween episodes is that there are no longer Halloween themes or Halloween costumes, which sort of kind of sucked, but the heists themselves got more heightened. I especially liked this last one because it was hectic. You didn't know who had it or who was working with who, and it was just awesome in that way. Anyways, guys, that is my order of the best Halloween heists in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If your order would be different, write it down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Subscribe to my channel. If there's any other show that you want me to watch, let me know because I need them.
Oh no!
What?
Look at this hole.
I can see it. There's a hole in Caitlin's
I've never
pants.
had a hole in my pants before.
Yeah.